This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Live from Peach Time Out in the heart of Times Square. You're listening to Beach Talk Radio with Kim and Ed Ryan.
And a good morning, everybody, and welcome to episode number 230 of Beach Talk Radio. We are broadcasting live from the public square. Yes, we are in the public right of way, the public square. We're not on that piece of property. We're not on this piece of property. We're in the public square. It's a beautiful day on Fort Myers Beach next to a beautiful lady.
Oh, wow. You are laying it on thick today.
And her name is Kim Ryan. Yes, and welcome.
But we're not impeding anyone's way.
We're not impeding anyone's. No. We're only impeding their ears right now with this gibberish that we blurt out every week. But before we get to our fabulous guests for the next hour and a half, I believe, we want to thank all of our spectacular sponsors, including a brand new sponsor. The Whale is now a sponsor of the show. They have a brand new chef that starts Monday, and their grand reopening is October the 1st. Also, as of last week, Karen Woodson for Town Council is a sponsor of the show. Thank you so much, Karen. And we'll talk about the forum from last night in just a little bit. Royal Scoop Ice Cream is the official ice cream of Beach Talk Radio. Sun Palace Vacations, Fort Myers Beach Realty, Fort Myers Tiki Tours, Nervous Nellies, Margaritas, State Insurance USA, La Ola Restaurant, Coastal Vacation Properties, Tuckaway Cafe, Beach Pottery, Shuckers, the Farmers Market at Beach Baptist, Island Carts FMB,
and you're not paying me enough for all of that.
Island Carts FMB just stopped by
bank
with cookies
these
that have their
fantastic
logo on it. Cookies. They're not dog cookies.
I wonder if Dan made them.
That's pretty cool. We should get cookies with our face on them.
No one wants that.
Yeah.
Maybe the logo.
Maybe the dog cookies.
Maybe the logo.
Speaking of dogs.
Wait, that is actually a coconut, not a meatball.
Yeah. Speaking of dogs, I was out doing the pre-show video today, and I was walking around, and, somebody dropped a gigantic turd right on the beach. And I think it was a dog. I mean, we were doing a little examination with the camera. It looked like a big dog, or it looked like a medium-sized human.
Our guest is so thrilled to come on after this conversation.
No, I'm just saying, my point is that if you're going to walk your dog, A, you have to have a leash, and B, I mean, if you don't have a bag, can you just kick a little sand on it? I mean, you can use your foot or something. Clearly, somebody walked the dog and just left it there and just kept walking. It was huge.
I'm watching a show on Prime, and it actually is a New York State attorney show called Billions. And he walks by someone whose dog defecates, and he makes the guy go up and pick it up with his hand. And I was
nice.
Like,
so that was the penalty.
Uh-huh.
I wonder if we could ask our next guest if that's something that she would ever do to somebody. You're charged with picking up turds for the next 30 days.
He did not do it. He did it as a citizen just walking along.
I see. All right. So real quick.
I wanted to ask you, what's your favorite ice cream at Royal Scoop?
I haven't had any yet.
That it's not like it hasn't been offered to you.
I know.
They brought so many down, and
do I look like I eat a lot of ice cream? I mean,
that's a loaded question. Not touching it.
Oh, thank you.
I know how sensitive you are.
So, we're going to invite Lindsay on in a second. But what I wanted to say, Jennifer Rusk was at our candidates forum last night, and she also was here this morning having breakfast. And she says to me, like, I had my hat off because it was hot, but I had my hat off. And as you can see, I have a lot of gray hair.
It does need a trim, though.
The problem with my hair is when you have a barber for this for 20 years and he gets a knee replacement and he says, I'm going to be out for 4 weeks, then your hair grows. And she goes to me, hey, is something wrong? Like, what's with all the gray hair? And then she goes, it's not a good look. kind of hurt.
Did that hurt your
Kinda
feelings?
hurt my feelings. I mean, that was
I
not
think it looks
nice.
distinguished.
No, obviously not. Obviously, there's something
No,
wrong
I think
with that.
when
there.
you let the beard go,
Hi, how
too,
are you?
that's the problem.
Good,
Okay.
good. Yeah, we're on live TV now, so yeah. Not right now though. Yeah. What is your name, by the way? Do you live on the beach? Where do you live? Oh, just on the beach. Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah. Where was your hiatus? Cape Coral.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, if you're going to go on a hiatus, Cape Coral is a place to go for a hiatus. Yeah. Well, welcome back. Nice, nice. How many push-ups can you do?
I know you guys can't see.
I see.
So it's a little.
All right.
'Cause he
Well,
doesn't
why don't you
really
come
know how
back
to do
around
an
in about
interview.
an hour and we'll get you on.
He
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
know how to do an interview.
It's I don't know. Oh no, it's about 9:05. Yeah. All right, man. Good to talk to you. Only on Fort Myers Beach, everybody. Our first guest now is leaving the beach. Come on down, Lindsay.
Yes, we have Lindsay Scott-Garza.
Hello, everyone.
And the crowd goes wild. Go
Yes.
wild, crowd.
They're going wild. They're going wild.
Lindsay, I apologize
Thank
for
you.
my behavior so far.
Is it on?
Yeah, you're
okay,
doing
you can
great.
hear me
Yeah,
okay?
everybody
All right,
can hear
very
you. Yeah.
good. Okay.
Lindsay Scott-Garza is running for Lee County Judge.
Yes,
and
sir.
it's,
In
it's
group 4.
it's
Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
it's not very distinguished, our show, and now we feel like you're going to be the next judge, and you see how we behave, and you're like regretting
You
even coming
should have
down here,
No,
right?
I think
Elevated
it's
your
great.
game.
I think
Right.
it's great. He had me laughing over there.
When he said he lived on the beach, you know what he means?
Oh, I knew what he
Yeah.
meant.
Now,
I knew what he meant. Your barber comment.
Yeah.
Your barber's, but at least you have hair on your head. My dad isn't so lucky with his
Yeah.
barber.
Let's talk about your dad for a second. Who is your dad?
My dad's a retired Sheriff Mike Scott.
Yes, very nice. How long was he the sheriff for?
He was the sheriff for 16 years, I want to say.
Wow.
Maybe just
how
south
was
of
that
that.
growing up with your dad being the like? How does dating
No
get
kidding.
handled in
Oh,
that
man.
No
situation?
kidding. How many
He
of
said,
your
I'll be
boys?
cleaning my guns if you bring over
Nice.
a boy, but that wasn't true. He
How
was-
many of your
You
boys?
had to go to Miami to find.
Yeah,
the-
exactly. Yeah, isn't that right?
See, what we like to do is put our guests in the sun so they can't. So
Yes.
if they get
Do you want
sunburned
to,
when.
would you like to switch seats?
I'm okay.
Yeah,
I'm okay.
so we'll just give her a free hat,
It's
dear.
okay.
So, Lindsay, can I ask you a question you don't have to answer
Of course.
before we go
for
to
it.
our speed round? We do a
Go for
speed
it.
round of questions. Like,
Hmm.
does your dad have any opinion on like how the sheriff's doing now, the current sheriff? Are
We
they?
think he's doing a great job.
Yeah.
You know, he describes himself as my dad was the old busted up Chevy that was just kind of barely getting down the road. And here comes in Carmine, like the souped up Maserati.
Yeah, the media
just bright
savvy
and
guy.
Shiny. And yes, exactly.
Did you notice the
Who
first?
characterizes your dad that way?
He does.
I
Oh,
see.
okay, okay.
And I said,
I
no,
see.
Dad, you're a fast moving Chevy.
Yeah, nice. Did you see the first? What was the first face that you saw coming over the bridge today? Do you remember the first face that you saw?
I actually don't remember.
It was Sheriff Marcino's face because it
Oh,
was
my
on the
gosh.
side of a trailer that they have
Oh,
set
my
up over
God.
here
I
by
didn't even know. I
I
was
Margaritaville.
didn't
looking-
recognize. Yeah.
You were looking at your phone.
I-
That's what you were just
No,
going to say. You were
well,
looking
no,
at your
no.
phone.
Shame on me. I'm checking my mom's watching my baby girl, so I'm.
Oh, and how old is your baby?
observant. 15 months
Oh,
old,
very
almost
nice.
a year and a
Wow,
half. Yeah.
little.
You have no time to be a judge if you
Oh,
have
I
a
got a
baby
lot
girl.
of time.
Come
I'm a
on.
mom. I
She's-
mastered
she's
the
a
juggles.
multitasker,
Yes,
yes.
exactly.
All right,
Exactly.
And
now-
you have support to.
Lots
yeah.
of support. My
Now-
husband's great. My parents are great.
We're going to start a stopwatch
Okay.
here. And
All
what we
right.
do is a speed round of questions
Okay.
that have nothing to do with anything.
Okay.
So you just have, and you cannot think about them. You just have to answer them.
Oh man, is this like
You ready?
favorite flavor of
The
ice
clock
cream?
is running.
Kind of.
Oh god.
Dog or cat?
Dog.
Person. Okay.
Favorite TV show growing up?
Oh. Maybe I don't know Gilligan's Island because it was on. My dad.
Very nice.
Nice.
Why do you throw your dad into the Gilligan's
Yes,
Island
that's,
thing?
that's what he would put on the TV, and that's what we watched. And he'd make jokes when
Oh.
we were out on the boat.
All
and
right,
we'd get
that's
caught
too
in a
many,
rainstorm. Okay,
too long an
okay,
answer.
okay.
Stick to the
Favorite
question.
movie?
Oh my gosh, Armageddon! I love Bruce Willis. Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
that's a good one.
I like
What
this
are
one.
the 3 most interesting people you know and why? Can't be family.
Oh my gosh, 3 most
That's too
interesting
long.
people I know.
Pick one.
What's one interesting person
Well,
you know?
the judge that I practiced in front of for a long time, Judge Margaret Steinbeck, she's fascinating. She's a mom. She was in the Army and military, so
Okay.
I have a lot of admiration
All right.
for
If
her.
you had 30 minutes and a tape recorder, who would you want to interview?
Oh,
Dead or alive?
I'm going to say Selena because she
Wow.
was actually the Mexican pop star
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
passed
Yeah.
away. My sister and I grew up watching that movie, and we loved that movie.
Wow,
And so
that's a good one.
I'd love to talk to her.
Most embarrassing moment.
Oh, that I feel like it's good for me to share.
Now, I can tell you that we had the principal of the school on, and she said, I can't stop telling this story
I
every
know.
week.
It's a great
That
one.
her most embarrassing moment was when somebody pulled her pants down in front of other people. Not when she was the
gosh,
principal. Well, how old was she when that happened to you? Remember?
She was
You
in
don't have
middle
to keep
school.
that on your
I see.
head. You don't have to keep that on your head.
I'm going to try and adjust
Well, it
that
just
in a minute.
happened to me, so this is pretty embarrassing. I bought 2 gift cards, and one was for one amount, one was for another amount. And anyway, I got
Uh-oh.
them switched up.
Oh boy!
And
And
mixed
somebody
up.
was really
And
happy,
yes,
and somebody
but
was
she
offended.
deserved every penny of it, and so,
I see.
but it was kind of embarrassing for me.
That's
So I'm
not
going
a-
to make it right to the other person.
Lindsay, I
They
have to
both
tell you,
deserve it all.
that's
so.
that wasn't a good one. That
was
wasn't really
not-
embarrassing. That was
that's
terrible.
I was
terrible.
really
It is
embarrassed by it.
embarrassing.
It's attention to detail that I need to
That's
be
right.
on my
You want to
game.
ask one?
Yeah, I'll
Don't
ask
show
the-
her.
All right.
Oh, yeah, I'm not looking.
So if
I'm
you
not
were
looking.
going around the country in an RV, who would you take along with you?
Oh, for sure, my husband.
Not your husband.
Oh,
not my
come on.
husband. So
That's
my
an easy
sister.
answer.
My
All right,
sister.
that's
I
good.
take my
Okay.
sister.
If you won $1 million, what would you do with it?
Ooh, we would invest, and I'd buy a new. I'm itching for a new SUV, so I'd buy a nice mom truck.
Nice.
That would,
So I
that
could
would
fit
take
more
about
babies.
half of it right now.
Yeah,
So-
exactly, and the gas to fill it with. So
So, Biden or Trump?
I
You
can't
can't
answer
answer
that.
That's right. Sorry about that.
Sorry.
Like, and you told me the rules, and I, of course,
That's
violated
okay,
them.
it's
All right,
okay.
now I asked this
Did
on
you,
behalf.
you did not forget.
I don't know why I asked that. It wasn't on the
It's
list. I just
okay.
threw that in there.
Okay.
Now, this I'm asking for my wife because she was totally, she couldn't stop watching this. Amber Heard or Johnny Depp?
Oh yeah, right.
You know what? I didn't have time to watch it, so
Cop out right there.
sorry.
Did OJ do it?
Oh, I can't answer that either. I can't answer that.
All right,
What's that
excellent
saying? If the
job.
glove
Way
don't
too-
fit, you
Right,
must
right,
have
right.
quit. They
Excellent
said,
job.
I
That was
don't
a
know.
while ago.
So you've been a prosecutor for 8 years.
8
Well,
years,
Let's
correct?
let
Yep.
her. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
give us
Tell
your,
everybody who
your
you are.
history, where you went to school.
Okay, yeah,
kind
that's-
of. You know,
I could do
mean, you
that,
don't
so-
have to go back to grade school, but you
No,
know.
well, I grew up here. I'm 3rd generation native. My grandma was born here, my dad, and then my sister and I were born here. I went to North Fort Myers High School, so don't hold that against me, anyone. I'm a red knight. And then I went to FGCU. That's where I got my undergrad, my bachelor's degree. I majored in legal studies, and I actually minored in the Spanish language. I'm fluent in Spanish as well. So after FGCU, I actually went to law school at St. Thomas in Miami. I say in Miami because every time I say St. Thomas, people are like, wow, you got to go to the
Virgin
island.
Islands.
I said, no, I wish I was in Miami, which I enjoyed. But of course, Miami's not my home. So after law school, I graduated, I passed the bar exam, and then I came back home to Lee County, and I've been prosecuting at this state attorney's office ever since. So
How long is the bar exam? Like, how long do they give you for that puppy?
It's 2 days. It is 2 days long, and it is in 3-hour segments. So 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the afternoon, and day 2 is 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the afternoon.
I
we
won't
have-
ask you to do the math.
Oh, it's scary.
It's like 6
Yeah.
hours or something like that.
And then you've got
day.
about 2-3 months to study for it. You know,
Wow.
after 3 years of law school, you're trying to cram all this information in your brain to execute in 2 days. And so, but
That's
got
crazy.
through it.
So,
First try. So
Yay.
got
so
through
you
it.
became. How did you advance to become a prosecutor?
So I got the job. I started out doing misdemeanor cases. So that's county court level. So that's the position I'm running for. If I was elected, county court handles misdemeanor cases for criminals. So that's what I started out doing. Small fish, petty theft, domestic violence, things of that nature. Then I worked my way into the felony unit. There I was doing some white collar crime stuff. So like fraud cases, things of that nature. And then after Dad retired in Lee County, I started in Punta Gorda in Charlotte County.
Okay.
Then I came over to Lee County where I was a part of the Special Victims Unit. And that's what I've been doing for the last 4 years.
Well, explain what that is.
Special Victims Unit covers the children cases. So anything doing with one of our most vulnerable victims in our community, our children, child pornography, child molestation, child abuse, as well as very serious things that happen to adults. So adult rape cases, human trafficking, severe domestic violence. So things of attempted murder.
I am
kinds of cases.
In shock at the amount of child pornography that goes on. Not everywhere.
It's very scary.
It's bizarro.
Yeah. People watch, the Law and Order Special Victims Unit TV all the time, and they're like, "Is that really how it is here?" You look at this show and you think that's just a TV show, and unfortunately, those things are happening in our backyard, in our community.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that is shocking is the human trafficking that goes on.
Yep.
That you think right under your nose.
Exactly.
Not under yours.
No, but it can happen on multiple different fronts. There's immigrants that are here that get caught up in that, whether it's, on the farm, or women getting trafficked for a variety of different things. Like you've seen the movie Taken,
right?
Similar to that. And it's scary. It's scary.
Well, and people who get taken right in the U.S. I mean, it's a lot in the U.S., not just abroad.
Not just local. And then it's hard to prosecute those sometimes because these victims are terrified of their abuser, what's going to happen to them, especially if they're here illegally. That, makes matters a little bit more complicated. So yeah, it can be really difficult. I just about a couple months ago was a human trafficking case. He was found guilty, sentenced to 2 life sentences. It was a huge victory for our office. It was awesome.
Good.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you decide you're going to run for judge.
Yes,
Why?
sir. Well, I love our community. I'm born and raised here, so I have a vested interest in what happens in our community, but especially with the judiciary, because that's where my background is. And being in front of several different judges, I've done a lot of good as a prosecutor for our community, as being a public servant. And I see a need for some change on the bench. And so as much as the political process isn't very appealing to most individuals, we need good people in these positions. And so I decided that was something that I felt I was ready to do and still feel.
Now, when you mentioned change, what can you expound a little bit?
My opponent, I thought he was going to be retiring.
Yeah, because he's been on
north of 10 years.
Yes, I think 2 6-year terms, right? It's a 6-year term.
It's a 6-year term. So what happens is he was appointed by Governor Charlie Crist way back, and then he was up for re-election after 6 years, and then he won both of those elections that he was in. So this is the 3rd time he will have been up for re-election. And how it works is we serve 6-year terms. And then at that 6 years, when the term is up, if we do not have any opposition, we would just continue on as a judge for another 6 years. If we do have opposition, just like we see what's happening now with an election, that would trigger another election process.
Got it.
Okay. So would you have run? He wasn't planning to run at the beginning, right? And then
I don't know.
Okay.
I told a few people my intentions, obviously my family, my husband, my boss, Amir Fox. And then I actually sat down with him and let him know what my intentions were. I want him to hear it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. You can imagine legal community, rumors spread like wildfire.
Right.
So I owed him that much as a professional courtesy. I have a lot of respect for him. And but he actually did let me know in that conversation that he had not planned to retire. And we shook hands. It's been very cordial. And that's why this process is set up the way it is, to give the people the choice.
What has been your, did you have another question?
No, go right ahead. I want to make sure I don't.
All right. So what has
step on
been
you.
your greatest accomplishment in your legal career, would you say?
I was going to say, you have to specify, because in my whole life, it's been my daughter.
Of course.
That's, regardless of what title I may achieve, if I am honored to win the vote and I become, Your Honor or Judge, Mama is always going to be the best title. But probably in my legal career, what I'm doing now, prosecuting special victims unit cases and getting these great guilty verdicts, working with law enforcement, seeing, and bringing it all together. This last case I did before I took leave from the office was an attempted murder where the individual shot his paramour in the face. in front of their 4 children. The kids were 3 through 12. She survived. She had multiple surgeries. Mouth had to be sewn shut for over a month. Of course, the kids were impacted significantly. And this case went all the way to trial. And of course, 3 of those children had to testify. And it was very intense. It was very nerve-wracking, of course, for the victim, because she did survive. What happens if he's not guilty? If he gets out? What does that mean for me and my kids? And so when that guilty verdict came back and my co-counsel and I saw her smile and she gave us a hug, it gives me goosebumps talking about it, because she knew her and her kids were going to be safe. And that's as good as it gets in these situations. She's got a lot of healing to do. So does the family. But that was a very big high for me in my legal career, getting that for her and her family. Right.
So how much money have you raised so far, and how much do you think you're going to need to win?
Well, I need people to vote. So money's great because it allows me to get on the radio. It allows me to be on TV. It allows me to buy the shirt that I'm wearing and the signs that you see around town. But votes are what really matters. People showing up to vote, whether that's signing up for the absentee ballot. Folks can actually still sign up to get a mail-in ballot. They have until the 13th to get signed up. So it's just people voting. We've raised about $190,000. About 40 of that is a self-loan that my husband and I did. But the rest of that, which is a good chunk that I'm very proud of, was raised by members of our community.
And do you have other events that are coming up that people can attend? And
yep, we've got there's some small events that are actually put on by different chambers that are coming up. The biggest one we had was about 3 weeks ago, Cape Coral Hobnob event, and that was very successful. In fact, they didn't let any more people, and they took a straw poll. I'm honored to say I won that straw poll, which was pretty exciting. So as far as campaign events for myself, we don't have anything coming up in the near future. We're 2 weeks out, and we're 2 weeks out.
Okay.
So we are at the we're going to be waving. So if anybody wants to wave with us, we're going to be waving. I'm going to be recruiting folks.
No campaign forums or debates or anything like that?
No, not for us.
Is that because you don't do that? And
I'd be open to it. I think it's difficult for my opponent and I. We are so limited in what we can really speak about. People want to know how we feel about abortion. People want to know how we feel about transgender issues that are going on. And that's fair, because the voters have a right to be as informed as possible. So these are, valid concerns that I would be asking if, for an elected official, but we're so limited in what we can talk about. And so I think that's maybe why folks shy away from having forums for us, because we can really just talk about ourselves, which is, boring. Attorneys are good at that, though. But, yeah.
So aside from you thought there needed to be change, why do you want to be a judge?
Well, it's something I kind of always thought I'd want to do as a career goal of mine. In the back of my head, I guess following in my dad's footsteps into public service, being a servant of the community in that role. And you try to do things that you think you'd be good at for your community. And I think I would be a great judge. I hate tooting my own horn, but that's what you have to do in this role. You have to promote yourself. And so it's a lot of it has to do with personality. Yes, you have to follow the law. Yes, you make tough decisions, but your temperament on the bench. And so I want to make sure I mention this, because this will give you an insight as to what kind of judge the people can expect from me. Where the judge sits is called a bench, not a throne. I'll let that sink in.
Are you saying somebody else uses it as a throne? Are you saying?
What I'm saying is that I think sometimes judges lose sight of that. That we are, just because you wear the black robe and you sit higher up than anybody else in your courtroom doesn't make you better. Just because I'm a judge doesn't mean I know everything about the law. My job is to hear out the advocates, give everybody an equal opportunity to share their position, and at the end of the day, make a decision that's supported by the law and the facts of the situation.
What do you think is going to be a challenge going from being on one side of things to now having to, obviously weigh both sides, which I'm sure you will do, but I'm just saying, what is the challenge in that?
It's like switching hats, right?
Yeah.
I have experience in that role. as a prosecutor. I'm a mom now, and I'm handling these really sensitive cases with children. I want to file on all of them, but I can't, right? I have to take my mom hat off, follow the law. And if I've got a case that it's just not there, I have to make that tough decision and not put it through the system. And that's one of the reasons why I feel like I've ready for this next step and making those tough calls, making those decisions. So, but as far as the challenge goes and getting into that role, I think the biggest challenge is going to be, it's my courtroom, right? It's my, how do I organize it? How do I keep the flow of things moving in an efficient way so that these caseloads don't get, out of hand? So it's just going to be a much different role. But as far as the impartiality of it, quite frankly, I don't think that will be very different. As a prosecutor, if it wasn't there, it didn't go in the system. If unfortunately law enforcement made a mistake, we're human, we make mistakes. If that evidence isn't coming in, and I know that going forward, that's not a case I can put in the system. So, and I did work at the public defender's office actually when I was an intern in law school. So I have that experience of being on the other side. I also did the specialty courts for Charlotte County. So that's mental health court, veterans court, drug court. So I've seen the other side of things, where these rehabilitation programs really do work. So it's not always jail. That's not always the answer. And so I think
not with the way that,
some people deserve it.
Yeah,
I've dropped cases and I've put people away for the rest of their lives.
Do you think the system is fair for everybody?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Even people that don't have
the means, maybe. Yeah. I do. Our public defender's office, they don't get the credit that they deserve. Sometimes we hear it in the jail calls that we listen to, that they are not happy. They've got the public defender. They don't get the respect that they deserve. There's some really hardworking folks there. My husband was one of them for many years. And so it's unfortunate. Sometimes individuals don't want to take the responsibility. So they want someone to blame and point the finger, but we really do have sufficient access, and we've got competent folks at the public defender's office to provide those folks that don't have the means to hire a private lawyer great representation.
Do you talk about kids a lot, and you help kids a lot in what you do now? When you see a 10-year-old being perp walked, what do you think?
Yeah, that's a tough thing to answer, obviously. And someone recently asked me about that a couple days ago. A perp walk is simply a way to inform the public about the arrest that was made, and that it is being taken very seriously, obviously, by the sheriff's office. It doesn't have any implication with my job as a prosecutor. And I will tell you, it could affect a jury pool, right? We've got citizens coming in for jury service, and that was a highly publicized event. It caused a lot of controversy in our community. And so it may be hard to find jurors that haven't heard about that, and they may have made a position in their mind already, okay, he's definitely guilty, for example, of doing, they wouldn't have perp walked if he's not guilty. That could be problematic in trying to get a fair and impartial jury. That could be a problem for the judge too, presiding over that jury selection. So, as far as my personal thoughts on it, I think I probably safe to not share those. Quite frankly, it's not trying to dodge the question. I don't want to, I have to be very careful about what I say. I'll leave you with this, though. Regardless of my personal beliefs on these things, yes, I'm a mom and these things tug at my heartstrings. Regardless of those beliefs, children, anything, my job, the oath I take, is to be fair and impartial. And that's an oath I take very seriously. The same oath I took as a prosecutor, take very seriously. Don't abuse your power. So I mentioned a bench, not a throne. We have a lot of discretion. And our job is to hear things out, give everybody a fair shake, and at the end, follow the law. That's how I've been practicing. Use common sense, do the right thing. Those are the two things in our Constitution, obviously, which I'm a big fan of. Follow those three principles. It shouldn't be that difficult.
So
can I just ask
yes.
you were talking about juries and jury selection. I recently was called. It was a civil case, but I was recently called, and my number was like 800. And I thought, well, no way. But I did get called. Sure. I did get, and only half of the people showed up, which really surprised me because I thought you could get in big trouble. But anyways, what do you think about, our juries representative of the community? Are you getting, and is there anything that can be done to kind of increase those numbers?
So we've been, COVID unfortunately hit hit us like a ton of bricks in the court system, but can't blame everything on COVID forever. And we have done an excellent job in trying to get back caught up and moving cases through the system. And we've actually I have not had a case, and this is important because we're trying big cases here. So an attempted homicide, a human trafficking, a child molestation, we actually prefer to have 60 jurors in our courtroom, because a lot of folks, they're not able to set their personal beliefs aside, or they've got a bias on these types of issues, as you can imagine. So we're calling in a significant amount of jurors because not all of them may be great for this type of case, right? And we have had actually a pretty good turnout. We haven't been able to not go forward because of a lack of citizens showing up. And we find that most of those that show up, they're thanked profusely by both sides and the bench, thanked profusely for showing up, because we get it. And we try to accommodate when we can. Students, over the summer months, we had a lot of students on summer break, but they were taking classes. We've got folks with health issues, or they're full-time caregivers for folks at home with health issues. So we definitely try to make those accommodations for folks. There is there's summonses, right? So it's not really an invitation that you can RSVP to. You're supposed to go, have to go, unless there's a valid reason, of course, to get out of it. But I don't know that we'll ever start. It'd have to be pretty drastic for us to really start significantly enforcing and compelling folks. But we could, so that's the avenue. But our citizens have actually done a really good job.
Well, I wasn't picked, but I wasn't offended.
I'm sure you probably thank God.
It is nerve-wracking because both times that I've been in that situation, you're sitting in front, and you're right. I mean, the judge is sitting up top, and you're like, my name? Give me a minute. I mean,
sure, yeah.
Lindsay, do you think the jury system is set up the way it should be? And what I mean by that is you have both sides now have jury consultants, so they're looking at somebody's skin color, they're looking at their eyes, looking at them, the way they twitch, and and then you get eliminated sometimes for no reason. Or I mean, is it really set up the way it should be? Should each side be able to have a jury consultant to tell them, okay, that person's good, I mean,
in an ideal world, sure. We don't see that as much in the criminal world.
Okay.
That's more in the civil world, where the big bucks are online, and the folks that have the money to pay for jury consultants on really big cases, million-dollar, multi-million-dollar type civil suits. That's where you see the jury consultant. But otherwise, it's just your eyes and your ears of you. And if you have a co-counsel sitting with you, you've mentioned they're called preemptory challenges. So when you can just get rid of somebody for no reason. However, if it is someone that's in a minority group or gender, the judge can, or somebody can, the opposing counsel can challenge that for a race, gender neutral reason.
Okay.
And then the judge looks at the person that struck them. Okay, give me a race, gender neutral reason. You can't just, get rid of folks because you don't want females on your panel. You don't want males, or you don't want someone that's African American. You can't do that. So if there is a valid reason behind why, then it passes the challenge. So I do feel like there are safeguards in place. And of course, as the judge, I will tell you that the law is set up to err on the side of caution. So if there is somebody on a jury panel that is kind of right there on the line, erring on the side of cautions mean they should either stay if the answer to that race, gender neutral reason is not that great. That's the judge's job to kind of analyze that, or that the person goes because they truly cannot be unbiased. They're truly not going to be able to follow that innocent until proven guilty, or can't hold it against the accused if they choose not to testify. Those are two big ones for folks that they can't get around, and that's okay. We understand that, but that's why they need to go. So yes, I do feel like it is set up to give both sides a fair shake.
In the 8 years that you've been a prosecutor, take the kid cases out and the human trafficking cases out, what case or two are you most proud of prosecuting and winning?
Well, she said
besides the one that was mentioned.
Yeah, besides, I mean, and taking out the sex cases is difficult because those are so adult victim or child victim, because that's a lot. Some of these kids are so young when they have to testify, or they're so young when it happened to them. And now they're having to recall these specific details in front of their abuser in an open public setting. So, I am proud of those. I'll never forget, though. I'll share this with you. When I was in the domestic violence unit, county court, again, misdemeanor stuff, smaller scale, right? So in county court, the maximum punishment is 364 days in the Charlotte County, or in the jail, whether either county, doesn't matter. But I was in Charlotte County when I did county court. That's what I'm used to saying it.
Yeah,
365
here.
No, it's 364 everywhere. But it was a case. There was a domestic violence case. The kid, they were young. They were in their early 20s, and the victim did not. She changed her tune. She didn't want to go forward, but we had video evidence. We had photographic evidence. Her best friend testified that was there. No, it happened this way. I saw it this way. And so I carried forward. I had the 911 call. Like I said, I had the injuries to her. And she ended up actually testifying for the defendant, for her then boyfriend.
Wow.
Saying it was self-defense. I came at him first. So you can imagine this presents a very difficult for the jury, a very difficult situation for them to decide. And we won that case. It was a guilty. And even it was a smaller scale, the evidence was just so overwhelming to show that is not what happened, that unfortunately he did do these actions to her. And so I'm really proud of that. It was several years ago. But all these wins, they're team wins. It's not just me. It's the victim advocates. It's our clerical staff behind the scenes. It's our investigators. It's law enforcement. I mean, for us to be able to do this type of presentation for a jury, no matter how big or small the presentation is, how big or small the case, it is always a team effort. And honestly, that's what I'm most proud of is my team, the state attorney's office. We've got a great working relationship with our law enforcement, with the court system, with the clerk of court. And so that team, being a part of that team has been I'm very proud of that. Go ahead.
Who are some of the people that have endorsed you?
So obviously my dad, and I'm really proud of that.
I saw
but besides my dad,
I think I did see. Was he in a TV ad or a radio ad?
He was in both.
Okay,
he did some TV for me too.
Yeah.
We were in there together on that. And then on the radio, he did like a little introductory, like, "Hey, remember me? Remember the old guy, the old bald guy, me? Here's my daughter."
I know every time. Not that I see him ever, but now
Mike.
the old Chevy, it's going to come into my mind.
I say Chevy because they've got two Chevys. My mom, they
I have to tell a quick
them.
story. When Tracy, we used to own a gym in Gateway.
Okay.
And Tracy, who was one of our instructors, she got hit on the Sanibel Bridge and died on her bike.
Oh my gosh.
And everybody, all her friends organized to run.
I remember that.
All of her friends organized to run, and your dad showed up to run. Like, he didn't have an entourage.
He's not a runner.
Or what, he was there for maybe he wasn't running, maybe he was serving popcorn or something, but he was there, but he didn't have an entourage or 18 PIOs or his face on the side of a billboard or some media conglomerate out of it. So it was a down-to-earth kind of thing, which I think that's what I remember the most. Not that your dad's dead or anything like that, but
no, but
it was one of those things.
I get it. No,
it was one of the things like, holy shit, there's the sheriff.
Well, I can tell you the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. You know, he's a very humble person. I am too. I have a job to do. I don't need to.
You're at some dinky little podcast.
No,
I mean, look, you'll go anywhere.
I have to. Unfortunately, in an election, you got to get your name out there, and you have to be seen. So, but this is a great way to do it. He's keep your head down and get the job done kind of guy. That's how I am too.
Yeah. So you were saying, I didn't mean to interrupt, but who have you gotten other than your dad?
Okay,
who's endorsed you?
Larry Hart, who was our former tax
Never
collector.
heard of him.
Never.
No.
Really?
No.
He's
Larry
a legend.
Hart.
He just said the former.
I've heard of Gary Hart, but not Larry Hart.
No, Larry Hart. You've
probably never heard of Gary Hart.
I never heard of Gary Hart.
Yeah.
Anyway,
what are you, 35?
Joe Delosan. I will be 35.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll be 35.
So you could be judged for like 50 years.
Hopefully, knock on wood.
Yeah. Well, now are some of the judges? I'll get back to that. Are some of the judges appointed for life? Like is Sherry Chappelle?
The Supreme Court. They're not technically life appointments, but they technically are. And, in the Constitution, it says they're appointed unless there's not good behavior shown.
Sure.
So it's essentially a life, but other judges are not. So this is a 6-year term.
What if federal judges like Sherry Chappelle lives on our block? What is she?
That's a good
she's
question.
Been a judge forever.
I don't know if they're all 6-year terms. I'm not sure if the federal judges actually. I'd have to look. Yeah. I'd have to look that up to be 100% positive.
She's awesome. You know Sherry?
Chappelle's the last name. I want to say I know blonde hair.
Yep.
Oh yeah. I know Sherry. She's a great lady.
Back to your my original question.
I can't call her Sherry. I shouldn't have said that.
Judge Chappelle.
Thank you.
When she comes by in her car, we say, "There's Judge Chappelle."
Yeah.
No, actually, she took my class at the gym. never
You
knew
have
she
to,
was
like,
the judge.
share
Yeah.
all of
What
her-
kind of class do you teach?
I was
Is it
teaching a
like
boot
fitness?
camp class.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, boot camp. All right.
That was a long time
now
ago.
I know where to
when we
go.
were actually in
Wait, you were
shape.
asking
Anymore.
yeah.
about who's endorsed you.
Gary Hart.
Let's
So,
bring it
so
back.
Larry Hart,
Larry Hart.
Joe D'Alessandro, who was our state attorney
I do
prior to
remember
Steve
him.
Russell. Okay. The Senator Ray Rodriguez, Elizabeth Benaquisto, and I think that's.
What
I think
about the
that's
local
everybody.
guys?
The local guys, the Florida Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, the Lee County chapter, they endorsed me, and I am proud of that because those are my opposition
Right,
for all those years. And so for them to, endorse me, I think that's a testament to my ability to be fair. Some cases, like I said, they deserve life in prison. Other cases do not.
Mhm.
You got to follow the law. And if it ain't there, it ain't there. So.
And so all your experience has been in criminal versus family or civil.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes, that's fair.
okay.
Yep, that's fair to say.
So, do
Yes.
they like the county reps and people like that, or the really local people? Do they endorse, or they don't get involved in the judge kind of thing?
I think for folks, it's difficult to get involved because, he is an incumbent judge.
I see.
And so I think for some people, and he grew up here as well.
I see.
So he's got a lot of, friendships and connections and things like that too. So I think some folks just err on the safe side of, maybe not openly endorsing,
Right.
Again, it does. I'm honored by those endorsements. I
Yeah.
truly am. But what truly matters is the vote. What happens in that voting booth,
Right.
and that's all I truly care about. Bringing in the money is great. Being openly endorsed by these folks is great. But having folks go and vote for me, that's what's going to win.
Yeah. And so everybody that's watching knows the vote is countywide. You'll be on the ballot in Fort Myers Beach, everywhere.
Absolutely. It's
everywhere.
countywide. And we've got a big one. So Fort Myers Beach, where I am right now, Lehigh Acres, Cape Coral, Mount Lachey, North Fort Myers, everybody, all of Lee County. If you're a registered Lee County voter, my name, Lindsay Scott-Garza, will be on your ballot.
Any other
All right.
questions, dear?
Well, I didn't
Go right
know.
ahead.
So
We got time.
specifically to the beach, and people will know I'm asking this question.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
what are some of the issues in balancing free speech against controlling offensive activity? Where's the line? I mean, down here on the beach, there sometimes is a person who is in the square here, preaching, and there are people that are bothered by it. One, because it's loud, and one, because it in their opinion is offensive to them, and they're trying to eat. Where's that line?
Yeah, it's tough because it's a right guaranteed by our Constitution. And so, an infringement on that right, you're towing a line there if someone, and it is unfortunate. There's lots of offensive things that are said openly. I mean, we've got on the footsteps of the courthouse every morning, there's an individual saying things that aren't accurate, or when there, big protests, that have gone on in our community over various controversial issues. There's protesters on both sides out there, and it isn't convenient for everybody, and it hurts your feelings sometimes depending on what's being said, or, but it's tough to suppress that individual from doing that. There's very little that can truly be done.
Well, and I think that's the thing, is because people want the town or want law enforcement to do something, and I think it's important to get out there. There is a line that has to be crossed before anything can be done,
Right.
because the First Amendment is protected.
Right, exactly. And so, I mean, I think obviously, we want to keep order, especially, this is where so many people, our tourists, come to this area, specifically Fort Myers Beach. I was telling you earlier, it's beautiful down here, the
Right.
whole Key West vibe, but it's awesome. And Margaritaville is going to be awesome. So you don't want so much disruption that it deters folks, and so maybe having that, relationship with whoever this individual is, of keeping it cordial. But and I don't know who it is, and I don't have the experience, so I don't know if it's possible, to try to keep somebody at bay, so to speak, so that they're not causing so much of a disruption that
Right.
it leads to a riot.
Well,
God
Well, I
forbid.
think what
people
happens is
getting upset.
People get upset, and then they engage, and
Yeah.
then
Engaging is
you're never
it's-
going to win.
You're never going to win. It's like my husband, with driving on the road. It's like if somebody doesn't use their blinker, they cut you off. you're not going
Let
to
it
teach
go.
them anything. Yeah, let it go. Yeah,
So what are
it's
you
frozen.
saying?
Let it go.
Your husband
No, I'm saying
gets a little
I'm saying he
aggressive?
grew up and learned to drive in Miami, so I'll leave it at that. But there's just you're not going to teach anybody anything. They don't want to. They're not.
And that
you
never
can't
ends
engage.
well.
I mean,
exactly.
it's
It never ends
hard.
well.
It's hard
I
because
can imagine.
you say with bad behavior, we know, ignore bad behavior and praise positive
but
behavior.
Lindsay,
Right.
the thing
It's
here
really
on the beach,
difficult.
and there's no good answer to it, but the specific thing here on the beach is we have a preacher that sets up in the public square, which is fine, pictures of dead babies and a bullhorn
Not
that
anymore.
says you're a
Not
sinner
anymore, though,
and
with
says
the
you're
pictures.
a sinner or you're a slut or you're going to hell. Which is, I guess it's fine if that's what his speech wants to be, but people are trying to eat and they're vacationing. And so
And people
my
are
thing
going to
is,
get offended if you call me one of those names.
Sure, 100%.
it's just a guy lacks common sense to go somewhere else where people are, I mean, it's just not a good look.
Of course not.
So, and there's
Of course
nothing
not.
anyone can do because
And there's-
one time the sheriff did try and write them a ticket and he sued and won.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's really tough because any infringement on that constitutional right that we all share,
That's right.
all of us share it, even if we don't like what's being said. And so the best thing to do, obviously, is not to engage. It's not going to help. It's not going to teach. This person is not going to change what he's doing because someone says, please don't show me that. I hope if there's children around, he would have at least that common sense not to show these graphic things in front of, we have a lot of kids here.
So let
ice
me,
cream shops,
I've read, I've
right.
read up a lot on this, like on the street performers thing in a public square in different communities. Like the courts won't even say the community can limit the number of street performers because it's almost like saying that, okay, the 11th street performer, if your group is 10, you can only allow 10. You're discriminating against the 11th person. Like, can you put a cap on the number of street performers that are actually in a public square?
I'm not sure that you can put a cap. I'd honestly, I'd have to look at.
I'd have to consult the
I'd have to
statute.
look at I would, to give you a great answer, the right answer, right? That's what you want, the right answer.
But how is not the 11th one impinging on his speech? In a public, this is a public
if they don't
square.
allow him to be a part of it because 11 is over the limit.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know that they would be able to limit. Are they limiting street performers?
I'm just saying, like, nobody's like the 11th street performer. I don't think really even understands. So, maybe I should fight that.
Right.
They just think, okay, well, that's the law in that town.
Sure. Or have the money necessarily to fight.
Right. You don't want to go to court.
You don't want to go in blind in a courtroom.
Right.
Some people choose to represent themselves.
The other thing that the town is dealing with now is portable signage. Like they only want you to put campaign signs out 30 days before an election. Well, I mean, that's discriminating against, that's not content neutral.
Right. Well, there's in the other cities, there's rules regarding that as well.
Ordinances.
Is that constitutional?
It must be because it's been in place for so long.
Has anyone tried to argue it though?
Not that I'm aware of. No. And I don't, I don't know if that's separate city councils.
So portable sign is what you put
a yard sign.
A yard sign. So why is it okay for a real estate sign to be up whenever and a campaign sign to be only up 30 days before an election?
But when the real estate signs are up, like where we live, they come through and clean them all
Who knows
up.
that though?
Well, they're owned privately. I think that's the difference is like a real estate, somebody owns that land or somebody owns the home they're trying to sell.
Right.
So they're saying, you can put this sign here, but all of my signs, some are in people's yards per person, and then those could have gone up, I believe, whenever yard signs.
Unless you have HOA rules, right?
HOA, right? HOA rules are big ones. Now I guess the people choose to live in the HOA, so they're,
right. Okay.
subduing themselves to the rules of an HOA. But yeah, the big boys, the 4x4s or 4x8, the big signs,
private land,
those are limited to go up on a certain amount of time.
I see.
And obviously you have to have the property owner's permission to put them there.
Now, did you bring signs with you?
I have yard signs in my truck.
Bring them back, please, so
I'd
that
be
we
honored
can put them out in Gateway for you.
100%.
Because we would love for you to win.
Thank you. I
Are you
appreciate
winding
that.
it up?
Well, it's been almost an hour.
Well, that's why I
I'm
just
glad
wanted
I
to
paid
give
the meter
you.
good.
Yeah,
I just
no kidding. Well, you know people.
You'll know how to fight that ticket if you so choose to.
No.
Well, how can people find out where you are, donate, and
Yep. So
again, give your pitch to be to be
Yeah,
voted in?
Sure. So I come with, a lot of experience. Yes, I've been a prosecutor for 8 years. You have to be 5 years as an attorney in order to even be a judge. You have to be 5 years as an attorney and in good standing with the Florida bar. I've been practicing for 8, and I've been making extremely tough calls for the last 4 years doing special victims units. So again, that decision making, that use, my reverence for the Constitution, that use of common sense and just doing the right thing is what I believe makes me the best candidate. You'll see my name on the ballot. August 23rd is the election day. Early voting starts August 13th. That's a weekend. So early voting, you can vote anywhere. It's election day that has the restrictions of your precinct. You have to go to a specific location. That's for election day only, the 23rd of August, which is in 2 weeks. It's crazy. But you can still sign up for a mail-in ballot if you want to.
So August 23rd is a primary.
Correct. Yep.
So can everybody vote?
Everybody can vote regardless of party affiliation. Yes, sir.
Okay, that's good to know.
Exactly. Yep. Everybody can vote. My name's going to be on everybody's ballot, regardless of their
not
party
affiliation. There's no
exactly.
Okay.
It's a nonpartisan, right? And that's because the judiciary is impartial, and so it's to preserve that impartiality and free from bias. So you can find my website, LindsyScottGarza.com. So it's just my name.com. You can also see me on Facebook. I've got a Facebook page, Lindsay Scott-Garza for Lee County Judge on my Facebook page. And there's a way to contact me through both of those avenues. So whether it's members of the public that have questions, again, I'm limited in what I can answer. But I'm happy to answer more questions if a viewer has something, so you can contact me there. And there's a place, again, I have to be careful asking for, any type of contribution. So I'm certainly not asking for that. But my website and my committee have put together a very good platform for folks to support me in any way that they want to, whether that's requesting a yard sign, again, wanting to waive, I need waivers. So thank you guys so much for this opportunity.
No, thank you for coming down.
Thank you so much for
really appreciate it.
Thanks for putting up with him.
Yeah.
You guys are great.
Thank
I
you.
love it.
Thank you. If we
I'd
can
come
get
back if that.
Hey,
as a judge, are you allowed to come? Oh, please,
I don't
come
see why
on.
not. Again, I have to be careful what I can say. But
well,
I'd
if
have
you
to
could bring
double
us,
check. There's a lot of rules, so I'll
if
double
you
check.
have about 10 signs, that'd be great because
Awesome.
we could take
Okay.
care of Gateway for you.
I'll get you guys hooked up. Thank you
Lindsay
so much.
Garza,
for this.
everybody.
Thank
you so much.
guys.
Good luck in the
Appreciate
race.
you.
Thank you so
Thank
much for coming on.
Thank you guys. Take
And
care.
good
I'm
luck in
leaving
the
here.
race.
Thank you.
All right. We are going to be right back after this break.
Okay. Well, that was so great to have Lindsay come on.
Runs out, hit it here.
Okay. He's got to run to the bathroom, so he's giving me directions. So, okay, dear, get out of here. Go to the bathroom. Stop drinking, and you won't have to go so much. Yes, thank you so much to Lindsay Scott-Garza, who's running for county judge. And coming up is David, I don't want to crush his name, but Cesario. We'll give that a shot. But first, before that, you know what time it is. It's the Fort Myers Tiki Tour time. Yes, get on your Tiki Tour. Make your reservation. You and 5 of your friends, co-workers, whoever you want to take out. 90 minutes up and down the bay. Very relaxing. You bring the food. They have a cooler. You bring what you want to drink and some music. And they provide the captain, the boat, and the ice. And you will have a great time. Give them a call at 239-887-0042. Today is a nice day. There's a nice breeze. Get out there. Have a good time. They leave out of Salty Sam's Marina, so it's easy to find. And they can be found at FortMyersTikiTours.com or 239-887-0042. And as much as I love the Tiki Tours, I also got to read the Royal Scoop ad. And I have to tell you that my favorite flavor, even though Ed's kind of like a closet eater, if there was something with Snickers in it, he would definitely house that. He would do that. But mine is the espresso chip. I love any kind of coffee ice cream, but they also have Cookie Monster, which I believe is blue, might turn your tongue blue. One of their really popular ones is Bohemian Raspberry, and they have Watermelon Sorbet. So they have 52 flavors available for you to sample. They have these huge creations that they make with banana splits and all sorts of yummy stuff. They do not skimp on the serving size, so you will not walk away hungry. You will be very satisfied and very ecstatic to have some ice cream from Royal Scoop FMB. They have indoor and outdoor seating, local family owned and operated. Come in for the best service. They are always very welcoming. They're very sweet. They're located at 2307 Estero Boulevard on the magnificent Fort Myers Beach. Open 12 to 9 daily.
What's making them dizzy? All right. Our guest coming up in just a minute, everybody.
What's making you dizzy, Chad?
David Cesario, the new general manager. But before we get to that, we want to make sure that you know that the Whale is opening up. The grand reopening is set for October the 1st. The new chef starts tomorrow, August the 8th. That's Monday, August the 8th. And the grand reopening is October the 1st. So stay tuned for that. They're our newest sponsor, so we appreciate that. And one more time, we want to tell you about Island Carts.
These
FMB.
Are really fancy wrapped.
Look at that. Nice wrapped cookies. What are they? They look like wafers. Are they wafers?
Oh, they're soft. This is going to be
courtesy of Dan Allers and Tim. They came by early this morning, and then they had to go deliver a cart. So if you're tired of wasting your time sitting in traffic and wasting Joe Biden gas, then you want to stop to Island Carts FMB, get on their website, and you want to order an Island Cart. And so you can tool around in the nicest carts on Fort Myers Beach. They have life-lasting batteries. You're never going to run out of jack when you're in one of the Island Carts carts. You're always going to have plenty of power, and it's going to get you wherever you want to go. They have 8-seaters and 4-seaters and 6-seaters, and they just keep adding cool-looking carts. And the number to call if you want a real cart, and you're not going to get one of those crappy carts that you see driving around. There's a lot of crappy carts driving around Fort Myers Beach. They're old. They're ugly. These are new carts, David. They're new carts, and they're nice-looking carts.
And they're easy to operate. Even I was able to do it.
Even a monkey can do it. Not that you're a monkey, but you know what I'm saying. Even a caveman can do it. David's going to have sunburn on the top of his head. That's it. Just on the top of his head.
I think you fried Lindsay.
She can take it. 1-844-FMB card, 844-FMB card for Island Carts FMB. They sponsor our 24-hour, 7-day-a-week commercial-free music station. And the way you get that is you go to the Apple App Store or whatever the other Android App Store is, and you download the Fort Myers, what's our show? The Beach Talk Radio News app, and just press play. and it's no commercials, all courtesy
And
of
you did
Island
you
Cards.
did a good job programming
Thank you,
that.
thank
There's
you.
a lot of
Beach music.
beach music. Well, that's a great intro into our next guest.
Welcome to the show.
Great to be here.
David Cesario. Did I say that right?
You did.
Nice and close with the mic?
Cesario,
Gotcha.
tomato.
Where are you from?
I was born in the suburbs right outside of Boston.
I
Can you hear
see,
me okay?
Boston. You
So I was
fit
born
right
in
down
Medford,
here.
Massachusetts,
All right.
and raised there. I
And
actually grew
you're
up
a
in
Sox
Lexington.
fan? Yeah. I know, right?
It's kind of a
Yeah. They're terrible
Yeah.
this year. In
people
last,
from that area
are they in last
are Red
place
Sox
this year?
fans. Yeah, almost.
Fall from grace.
Yeah.
It must suck for Yankee fans, for Red Sox fans to see the Yankees are well in for like how many games out of the Red Sox right
How do
now?
I change the subject
Here
right
we
now?
go. Well,
So David is the general manager of Margaritaville.
That's right.
Why do they call you the opening general manager? Because you're going to be opening it.
Yeah, I mean, I think if the hotel was running, right, so everything would have already been
Oh,
established.
okay.
I see.
So this VP and opening general manager title is, I think, just recognizing the fact that there's a lot more to do in deciding everything about the hotel, all the small things about the hotel. The project's already been decided and well
Yeah.
underway, but all kinds of small decisions need to be made on how things are going to operate. And so I think it's a little bit more to open the hotel than to come in while it's already running.
got it.
Before we get into the details, we have to ask you a speed round of questions
okay, we're
because
gonna
we
do
want
that.
our audience to get to know who David is.
Sure.
And has nothing to do with anything other than questions that we come up with.
It's nothing
And-
to do with your skills and abilities.
Right.
Let's put it
And
that way.
there's a stopwatch running that you can't hear, so they have to be fast.
This
All
like
right.
ticking going on. All right, dog or cat person?
I like them both.
No.
That's
I'm
the
sorry.
first time
If I
that
had to choose a pet right now, it would be a cat.
All right.
Okay. I had to
good
give
for
you the buzzer on that for saying both, but you
No,
But
you
I
decided.
grew up in a house with both, so
Yeah.
Nice. Favorite color?
definitely blue.
Blue. I added that one and you don't like that
okay.
one?
No, it just was weird. Favorite TV show growing up?
Oh God, there was so many. I'd have to probably
Like
say
as a kid, what was your go-to?
Saturday Night Live.
Oh.
My
Yeah.
father used to let me stay up late and watch that, and that's where I got my sense of humor from. So he would let me stay up and watch Saturday Night Live. That was
Nice.
definitely my favorite show.
Favorite movie
Nice.
of all time?
I like these epic movies. I like Gladiator, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So-
is that with Arnold? Gladiator?
Dances with Wolves.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Gladiator.
Dances with Wolves?
Yep.
Yeah,
I like
was
that
a good
kind of
one,
stuff.
Who
too.
was in that one?
Kevin
Kevin
Costner.
Costner.
I see. All right. Who are the three most interesting people you know and why outside your family?
Outside of my family.
Clock is running.
The most interesting people I know. Wow, I just got nothing to go to here. I would
Never met an
say
interesting person.
I have met interesting people. I'd have to say, I'd have to go back to Marriott. Knowing Mr. Marriott is great. He's
Perfect.
very interesting. Spent a lot of time with him. Got to know him. I
That's-
actually think that Tom Torgerson's a very interesting person.
Oh.
When I found out about, I know it sounds like I'm,
No,
know.
he's not interesting at all. Very
I-
very
dry.
interesting as
No,
I've gotten
not
to
at
know
all.
the project and how it came to be
Yeah.
and the culture of the company.
Yeah.
That's
That's good too.
That's
Isn't
good.
it?
All right, my turn. Your most embarrassing moment.
Oh, all right. I'm just gonna. The first one that comes to mind is
Is there a, is there a
the
host of them?
the wave runners or the
Yeah.
flow riders. So I got stuck on the top of one where I had to make a decision whether I was going to drown or let my trunks fly off.
Another depantsing.
So
Yeah.
I was going to drown, and the lifeguard, thank God, came over and just kicked me off the ride, and I just slammed into the front wall. But I
I have no
I
idea what you just said, but it sounded like it was
the
in the
lifeguard
water.
saw me struggling, holding my swim trunks, getting
Oh,
water
I
blasted
see.
up my
I
nose.
see.
Right.
Gave
If
me
you
a kick.
won $1 million, what would you do with it?
I'd
You gotta
probably,
up that. That's not enough.
yeah, it's not enough for me to say something nice like I would donate it, because after taxes, what if the person that won the $1.3
I know.
billion got 430? If they wanted all the money, they got $435 million.
David, you're not supposed to analyze the question. You're supposed to just, okay, 10 million.
I would spend a lot of it on a nice boat, probably another house.
I see.
I'd set up all my kids,
Or a
and I'd
houseboat.
probably donate a good amount of it, because
There you go.
I
You
think when
should
you
have
have
said
enough, you
donate.
should definitely donate.
Good.
Yeah.
What, let's see, where are we here? Oh, Amber Heard or Johnny Depp?
Johnny.
Did OJ do it?
Why are
Yes.
I I don't know. That was for the judge. I wrote those down for the judge. But
There's
you
no
wouldn't
doubt in my
answer them.
mind. Based on the evidence that I've seen,
She
yes.
didn't answer it that way.
Is this what he does all the time to people?
Yes.
Did we get them all in there? I want to make sure we did.
I mean, we didn't.
So
if you were to go across the country
okay, one
in an
more
RV,
question. Oh, good one. Dude.
and you can't,
Look at Lindsay
can't
working the
take-
crowd.
Yeah,
She's
I know.
working the crowd.
you can't take your wife or your significant other. Who would you take?
Oh, my brother Jimmy.
You know,
My middle brother is funny. He loves life. He's a type B personality, where I'm a type A.
he's a type what?
He's a type B.
B.
He's an
I thought you
artist
said
type.
E, so I was like, what
he's
does
an
that
art,
mean?
and he just loves eating and drinking
Anyone
and
with
laughing
the name
and having a
Jimmy,
good time.
it's a good name.
Yeah.
It's a good name.
So you come from the Marriott World Center.
My most recent role, yeah.
Well, and you've been, how long were you with the Marriott?
36 years.
Wow. Now, just to let you know,
You must have been 10 when you started.
I mean, how many
working.
times you're going to interrupt me? Let me get my question out. We love that hotel in Orlando. That hotel was we used to go vacation when we go to Orlando and stay there before we discovered the Gaylord. But we stayed there a year.
We still alternate.
Yeah, I mean, it's that hotel was amazing. How do you manage a hotel like that?
Well, I mean, the scope of the hotel, just briefly, I had my honeymoon at that hotel almost 31 years
Wow.
ago. So when I came back to that hotel to run it, it was like a really special moment for me.
Right.
So, I mean, that was part of what kind of lured me back a little bit too, because I was happy in Miami, but I vacationed there with my family many, many times. And so it's a special place to a lot of people. It's been there for 35 years now. So to run it, I would say it's a completely different game than running a hotel where you know everybody's name. You know something about all your employees. So you have to apply a different skill set to it. You talk about strategy and direction and not really. I kind of enjoyed running a smaller property, but the attributes of World Center, I could see that you said Gaylord, but now the World Center rebuilt their pool. They have a water park. They have more restaurants. So it's kind of like in Orlando, like Las Vegas, it's almost like the hotel's like a nuclear arms race. They just keep, slapping warheads onto the hotel in terms of the attributes, like just building a water park there.
Right. And when we were going, the pool was nice, but then when you see new hotels being built and there's 3 pools and there's a gigantic slide and then you got to think, oh my gosh, nobody's going to come here anymore. I got to rebuild this. And that just seems like that's what they do. They're constantly rebuilding and modernizing and making it better and better, especially in a town like Orlando, city like Orlando.
And unfortunately, that pool, after we reopened from COVID, the pool collapsed.
No way.
Your new pool?
No.
Oh,
it was the old pool that you knew.
Yeah.
Right? It collapsed.
How does the pool collapse?
There was a hydraulic event where there was a leak under the pool that lifted a 6 million pound pool, cracked it, and then of course the water tried to escape. So
that's a physics lesson.
Got a
right
kind of a
there.
scary phone call one day, and it led to that pool being closed for almost a year. So we were running a hotel in Orlando without a pool for a year.
No go there, right? Was anyone injured or was it closed?
No. It slowly started to leak and started to get muddy around the pool. And
so how did you get in?
So
go
can
ahead.
I just say that at least when we went, the elevator in the it's all glass, but that thing goes. That thing, I remember when I first got on, I was like, whoa, we are going up. That elevator, that's the best elevator.
That's like the first ride, right, for people, which I have a picture of my oldest daughter. She's doing a split against the glass. She's like 8 or 9 years old with all the kids there. And we find families on there. They just come in just to ride the elevator.
Our daughter and I we're like, let's go do it again. Yeah, it's a great.
So how did you get into the hotel business? I mean,
I'll bring up my brother again. My brother went to a vocational high school for culinary arts, and then he went to the Culinary Institute of America. And he's 6 years older than me. I kind of followed in his footsteps. I went to the vocational school. I did all the trades for a year, which has really helped me in my career, like electrical, HVAC, plumbing, to know a little bit about everything. But I majored in culinary arts, did 3 years. And when I got out of high school, I certainly could have gone to culinary school. I decided to go to hotel restaurant management school, be a front of the house guy. So I went to Cape Cod Community College, proud, community college graduate here. I lived on the Cape and went to school down there. When I got out,
not that Cape,
Cape Cod,
yeah,
the real Cape.
And then my father said, "Hey, my father traveled a lot with a defense contractor and said, this Marriott company, they're doing a really good job. They're coming on strong. They're really consistent. They take good care of their people. And I got my first blue power suit, red tie, white shirt, went and knocked on the door of the Marriott, and the rest is history with that company.
So how did you advance through the ranks there?
I think I didn't really realize I had a big advantage at the time where I kind of knew what I wanted to do. So a lot of young people don't know what they want to do.
Right.
I did know. When you kind of combine hard work with a little bit of talent and you have opportunities, it's kind of boundless how many opportunities you have. So that company provided a lot of opportunities, but I moved a lot. I didn't just stay in one spot. I moved 10 times.
Because you had to.
Yeah.
Well, if you wanted to advance, you can't just wait for an opportunity to come. You got to go and you got to go after them. So I moved. Ironically, the first move was to Minnesota, which is where TPI is based.
Yeah.
So I was there when the Mall of America opened out in Minnesota, and so I kind of get their culture.
But you didn't know anyone there. It was just a coincidence.
It was 30 years ago.
Gotcha.
And just a coincidence.
So you advanced through the ranks from where? Where do you start, and then how do you get to become a general manager?
Well, I started as an hourly associate, which is pretty typical.
What does that mean?
I started as a cook in the kitchen in an hourly role.
No kidding.
Got noticed, moved up, started to become a trainer.
Oh, wait. When you say you get noticed as a cook, does somebody come in and say, damn, that piece of chicken looks good? You put a little extra effort into that.
That's how you have to be, right?
Wow.
If you're gonna anything worth doing is worth doing right. So yeah, whether it was cleaning the floor or grinding the fresh hamburger or doing chop work in the kitchen. But I slowly moved up and got to a position where I got noticed. I like to learn. I like to teach other people. So that got noticed pretty quickly too. But I moved from Minnesota to Texas to Missouri, where I worked in Kansas City and St. Louis, then to Detroit, back to Boston, down to Florida, where I was in Miami, Orlando, and now here, which is like the final destination for me.
Okay.
Yeah. So then how did you come to this position here? Like how did that, after that long history, how did that happen?
I'm a planner. So we had already looked about a year and a half ago on where we were going to settle. We decided that we wanted to settle in this area. So we looked all around for a place to purchase. Wasn't the best time. Prices were high. We couldn't find exactly what we want because I have 4 kids and the family's going to grow. We just had our first granddaughter.
I saw that on your
She's going to be 10 months old. So we found a house in Naples. We had it built. So it's going to be ready. In fact, we close on August 23rd.
So this is when you're still running in Orlando. You have a house in Naples.
And I communicated that I was going to be retiring from Marriott at the end of the year. This opportunity, as you well know, is a very special project.
Sure.
You don't see a lot of projects like this around. So I started to get a little bit interested in that.
At what point of the painful process that TPI was going through here did you know to call and get involved? I mean, was it recently or was it way earlier watching what's going on?
It was more recently.
Okay.
I would say, it was, this year.
Okay.
And we had heard about the project because the project got a lot of press. But as I started to learn more about the project, even just recently, like last week, as I find out more about the attributes of the property, and I find out more about TPI, the company, and I find out more about the Margaritaville brand, and it's because it's a really hot brand. I smirk because I made such a good decision.
Yeah. When you say
involved.
attributes of the property and you're thinking about those, what do you mean?
Yeah. What are some of the attributes and amenities people are going to be?
Well,
excited
that
to
drew you in first, that you saw the attributes of this property.
Well, for example, so
It
you have a
wouldn't be
254-room
gross.
hotel,
Yeah.
and they claim that they have 5 restaurants, which is modest, right? Because they have more food and beverage. When we do in the convention hotel business, we try to brag about what we have. So I'm going to stretch a little bit here and say, well, yeah, they have 5 restaurants, but they also have room service. They have a full catering facility. They have the coffee shop. They have the salty rim. So I count like 8 options to eat in the resort,
Right.
plus you have a full retail shop that you can get snacks and beverages in too. So it's a little bit of a stretch. You don't see, first of all, the parking ratio is, he's getting distracted by the birds
The
here.
birds,
I know.
sometimes there's certain times of year where they're killers. But
Yeah, they
I
come
don't
from the
mean to-
northeast to annoy everybody down here. So basically the parking situation, right? So they have a covered parking area in the resort, about 350 spots, and then we have 25 across the street. But think about this, how much air you need to have that much parking. Well, it's covered, and covering that creates the Sunset Terrace, which is a 43,000 square foot terrace facing the most beautiful sunset you could ever see, right?
yeah,
There's a
yeah.
I saw it last
250
night.
seat
Yeah.
licensed to chill bar up there.
Yeah.
There's, I mean, the landscape designer did an amazing job. There's fire pits and soft seating and lawn games. And so at the end of the day, all the family's going to be up there taking pictures, creating memories up there. Not only that, but we can do an art festival up there. We could do Oktoberfest. We could do events in the community because it can hold 1,200 people.
Yeah.
So how many 254 rooms hotels have a 43,000 square foot terrace?
Yeah.
Have that many food outlets, have a concert 7 days a week at a beach club, one of its kind down here, that has a stage, has cabanas and seating
When you
in the pool.
saw the pool, when you got
pool.
the tour of where the pool's going to be compared to where the beach is, what did you think of that?
I was kind of blown away because, like as I learn more about the project, right? Classic, pool has just chase lounges all around it, right? There's an element to this that faces the beach. It's on the sand. So you're in the club, the Fins Up Beach Club, but you can be on the sand. You could be in the water. You could be in a chase lounge. You could be in a cabana, but you could also be eating right in there. So it's very unusual.
And this town lifted Tom Torgerson up by his ankles and shook him up and down as much as they could to get as much shit out of him as he was willing to give. And he stuck with the project, and it's coming along great. It's 1 year away, and it's going to be fabulous for the beach. But have you ever, in your years working in the hotel business, have you ever seen somebody that would put up with that kind of stuff in a community and not say, this is really crazy, I can do this somewhere else, or I can build this somewhere else? I mean, there was a lot. I'm sure you've seen the history or read the history, I've heard the stories.
This is, and it sounded like, you asked me the interesting people, but it's very interesting. Who wouldn't be interested in the story? It's an authentic story about somebody overcoming a lot of challenges, that had a vision, right? And it is now trusting me and the team to deliver that. That's like no pressure. And when he, as I've learned more, and he's shared with me more over the last few weeks,
Sure.
As we've gotten to know each other a little bit better, just to let me understand what it took to get us to this point, which I'm kind of idealistic. So I'm fired up.
Yeah.
And ready to go. And, so the story of how it got here, I wasn't here.
Right.
My job is to open the place, hire all the people, and deliver on what they want, what the Margaritaville brand wants, and I think what the community wants.
What do you think of the brand that Jimmy Buffett has built from 13 popular songs, really? I mean, we've gone to many concerts, and we go listen to the same exact songs, sung the same way with the same people, and we totally love it, or I do. She just comes along for the ride. But it's more than just a hotel. It's
Yeah, you want some room to take a swing at them, or
it's old folks' homes. It's retirement communities. It's food.
Which you're gonna find yourself in one real soon.
No, but seriously, it's crazy. And his songs are never played on the radio. One is.
I promised the COO Robert that I wouldn't go off on a tangent. Robert, I'm sorry. He asked me the question, but there's a lot of talk about lifestyle hotels, right? And a lot of people try to create lifestyle hotels, or they want to name them a lifestyle hotel. But to me, the only real organic lifestyle hotel is Margaritaville. It was a brand that was stumbled upon. It was a restaurant company, kind of like TPI was. And they became a retail company and didn't realize the commercial appeal. And now they have hotels and RV parks and a cruise line. So to me, it's a real lifestyle hotel. It became a lifestyle hotel. Wasn't, contrived. It's authentic. So there's a big difference to me. And so to answer that question, it's just kind of an amazing story how Margaritaville came to be. Working with their team has been great because they realize what a great brand they have, and they're going to start to grow. And, what they do becomes more important because people kind of have expectations of the brand. So I think there's a balance between becoming a commodity, and they want people to have fun and relax and escape. And they want the people that work there to treat the customers like that too.
What are the challenges for coming into a position, like you said, where you're the opening? There's not an existing kind of thing to step into. So what are some of the challenges, and what are going to be your day-to-day roles and responsibilities going forward?
It's a great question. So,
boom! Great
Sorry,
question.
forgot
from
the bell.
him.
you get a ding, ding, ding.
I
ding, ding.
do.
Look at you. You know the show. He knows the bell.
I have to kind of figure out the company, TPI, their core values, their culture, right? Because they own the hotel. I need to navigate through Margaritaville and figure out the brand. So I onboarded with TPI. They did a great job. On board to the Margaritaville brand, where they sent me out to look at other properties, talk to other leaders,
I bet that
and
was
then
a rough
learn about
trip.
this area. So I've got to combine all three, right? Because there is all of the properties have an indigenous impact on where they are. So Fort Myers Beach is, coveted by the people that live here.
Yeah.
And, they want to keep that. So it's a balance, right? So it's a balanced scorecard, if you will, where not one thing is more important than another. Obviously, it's a business. It's there to make money as well.
Have you ever been involved in a hotel where it's open to the community? It's open to he's opening it up to the community so that people that live here can also be part of the pool, and they're going to get discounts. And I mean, is that a normal thing?
I haven't to this extent. No,
okay,
I haven't. So, most hotels, their spas and their restaurants are open. The pool aspect of it, we have to make sure that there's a balance with, I'll use that term a lot, where the guests that are staying in the hotel have access to the pool,
priority.
But the community does too.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be concerts going on inside. There's going to be very popular. So, to this aspect, no, but, TPI's made a commitment that it's going to be open to the public, and it's going to add a lot. So people can walk onto the Sunset Terrace. They can access the retail shops, the restaurants. They can walk through the resort. We do have to control, I guess is a good term. We want to have the people that are supposed to be inside there,
right.
there.
Well, there's safety and
they
security.
Pay. And then security is going to be a big element because people want to be safe.
Yeah.
Because they can't relax unless they feel safe.
And this hotel, unlike a lot, I mean, I would assume it's embedded right in this community.
Right.
It's not like a big downtown area either. I mean, this is a smaller island kind of thing, and it's a big hotel with a big brand. So it is a unique, I would imagine, situation in that regard.
You get another bell because that's a great point. I've never seen. He's just feeling.
I know. He's jealous.
I'm sorry.
He's jealous.
I've never seen a resort cut into its surroundings like this.
Yeah.
Where, it is right in the heart.
Yeah. Woven right into the fabric of the community.
It is in the pedestrian bridge that's going to be going up soon. And, but I feel like the parking issue, we have plenty of parking.
Yeah.
Not only
That's
that, but we have
100
100 spots off property.
Right off the island.
So, being 20 miles from the airport, and I think if people know about Fort Myers Beach and they happen to rent a car, they're going to find out.
Yeah.
It's like renting a car in Miami. Like, why did I rent a car here?
Might take a little learning curve, but after that, they'll Uber down and they'll just be able to know they'll be able to walk around. And
we're going to have the beach carts, the golf carts.
Yeah.
That'll be a part.
Have you announced who the company is yet? Or
I think you know who it is.
Yeah, I think we know who it is. Yeah, we love those guys.
People around here, but that's going to be nice. So if people do want to get around a little bit easier than having a car.
So
we'll have that option.
the number of employees you'll be hiring is how many, and we do get that question a lot. How do I apply for a job and where do I go? Now we had a name before, but should they call you now, or how does that whole process work?
Well, there is a process. So we created kind of a chart that showed when we're going to hire what they call the steering committee of the hotel or the executive committee of the hotel. So the first job is posted, and we did interviews Friday, and then we have some on Monday for director of sales and marketing, right? So that job we hope to have in place in September, which will be the face of the hotel, the community, get all the sales engines revving.
Nice.
Right? The next position that we hope to have hired before the end of the year is the director of engineering. The projects at a state where everything's being built, all the infrastructure is going in, and it's a time to have the director of engineering that's going to run that building come in so they can observe and know exactly how things were built. Then when we move into next year, first of all, the director of sales and marketing will start to hire the sales team this year. But once that division leader is hired, they'll start to build their teams. So that exec team, reports into me, but then they start to build their own teams.
Mm-hmm.
And the next positions that would come up would be director of human resources, which would probably be early next year. That's where we're going to start to, hire not only the rest of the leadership team, but the department heads. And then ultimately we're going to start posting our hourly positions.
So how many total employees?
A lot for 250 for a hotel, and because there's so much food and beverage. So I would guess between 250 and 300 people would be working in the hotel.
And how many do you think will come from the local area, and how many will be specific to a job that they're going to have to come from outside the area?
I think a lot will come from the local community, because if you're a bartender or a server or a banquet server, I mean, you probably want to work where the highest sales volume is going on, right? So if you're just somebody that wants to make money, it's going to be a place to make a lot of great money. If you're somebody that wants more of a balance, if you want good benefits, to work for a good company that has good pay and other things like our parking, which leads into the other thing that you said, which is I think we'll attract people from around the area because you can drive and we have parking for you. So we have 100 parking spots. So you can count on the fact that you have a spot, and we're going to shuttle people back and forwards to work, which I feel is a big value proposition statement the company's making to say, all right, you don't have to park there,
right?
But you have a parking spot, and we'll shuttle you over to work. You don't have to ride your bike or walk or, that kind of stuff. But a lot of people, I think, will ride, share, they'll carpool, and they'll use our parking as well.
Yeah. So there has been a hiring problem down here for bars and restaurants. I mean, how are you going to overcome that?
Well, the employment situation is getting a little bit better.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
I mean, it's slowly getting better. And I think that the value proposition, one of the goals is to be one of the best, if not the best employer in the area. And the way that you do that is, first of all, you gotta have good culture. You got to treat people really well. You have to pay them well. You have to give them great benefits, right? All of those things. But some of the things like food, feeding the people, giving them transportation and a place to park, I think, we might rise to the top as a great employer. So it's the United States, it's capitalism, and it's one of those things where we might be somewhere that people think about working because we just have so much to offer.
You got spies down at the Hyatt and Coconut Point and Naples, high pay, where you have to pay a lot of money, just checking out the employees to see, hey, that might be somebody we
They're
want to.
headhunting.
Speaking for myself, I have not done that. I have not. In fact, in the next month, I'm going to go and visit. Hotels always work together. We learn in the hotel business that you've got to, the guy down the street's got to be your friend because they might need you. You might need them.
Yeah.
The power could go out at the Hyatt and they would say, David, we have a wedding,
Right,
and we just move mountains to take care of that customer. So any experienced hotelier knows, right?
It's a collaborative
You
thing.
need to have a good relationship with everybody around you.
The question came up last night at our forum. Someone said to the people that were there, what can they do to attract young professionals to the area? And I think maybe you just answered some of that, because it sounds like there'll be lots of opportunities for up and coming professionals and to get them to the beach and work at the hotel.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of, I don't have a count off the top of my head, but I'm going to guess there's probably 30 to 35 management positions
Wow.
of all different disciplines.
Wow.
So you've got operations, food and beverage, engineering, accounting and finance, sales and marketing. So there's a lot to learn there for the aspiring hotel executive.
Well, and I think what's so great and so unique is your story, starting from, being a cook and working their way up. That's a great.
What kind of benefits does the company
possible-
offer?
Yeah.
Oh, they
for-
have, first of all, they have full health benefits,
Wow.
dental benefits, 401k plan, vision plan. There's a whole other menu of little things that they have that you can sign up for.
Yeah.
But those are the big hitters. And then you have, if you're working in the building, right, recognition, great communication. The fun thing about this brand is it's a fun brand.
Yeah.
The thing that I took away from visiting all the other properties is people, their relationship with the customer.
So let me ask you about that.
It's not stuffy.
I have to ask you a question about that because the first time this happened to us, I was in total shock. You go to so many hotels when you go on vacation over time, and then I think it might have been the Gaylord that we went to, and then there was like, "Oh, hi, Mrs. or Mrs. Ryan. It's nice to see you back again." Like, you start looking around, like, wait a second, there's like thousands and thousands of people here. How do you develop that relationship? I mean, with customers and then because then you've got them. I mean, you're doing different things. It's not just you're going to a hotel and you got the crabby guy walking around the pool asking for your beer order or something like that. You feel like, these people are happy to be there and they know who you are.
They want to be
know who you are, but
recognition.
The number one thing is somebody's name, knowing their name. That's the most important thing.
Dale
to people.
Carnegie, that's the
Yeah.
So Marriott manages Gaylord, and when we bought Starwood, right? Or they bought Starwood. They, when they combined all the platforms, so to allow the ability for a frontline associate to recognize you. So that person should, get recognized for doing their job because it's right in front of them that you've stayed there before. So they just need to go, I like my job. I love people. And I know how important it is to recognize this person. So that Bonvoy experience. Margaritaville has their perks program that they just rolled out. So I think they've got about 80,000 to 100,000 members. It's not obviously 5,000 properties like a Marriott brand is, but it is designed to recognize people, most importantly. And then to give them instant perks, like some of the points programs you have to earn over a long period of time to redeem. Their perks program is kind of cool where you get stuff right on the spot. So if they welcome you, Mr. Ryan, it's great to have you back at Margaritaville.
Somebody notices that somehow?
Yes. And they say, and because you've stayed with us before, we're going to give you a food and beverage credit.
I see.
Here's $50 to spend as you wish in our outlets. So it's instant, which I think people like.
Yeah.
So you might get a room upgrade or
Yeah.
a food and beverage credit.
That's what it was. That's what it was, for no reason.
Yes. So people that, come to the brand. So that's a new, I think the perks program has been in place for a year.
Yeah.
Maybe if it's a little bit more than that, I apologize. I've learned so much in the last 60 days. It's hard to remember everything, but so I think it's cool in the fact that it recognizes the customer and gives them something right in the spot.
Awesome.
What do you want the community to know about David?
Well, I want to thank everybody for the warm welcome, first of all, because it's been very nice to meet people in the community. Jackie's been great.
Yep. Always.
I want them to know that, TPI, the company, it's a great company. It's 50 years old. Like, they're the real deal in terms of building themselves up, really taking care of their people. I don't know what happened before this became a Margaritaville, but I can't imagine it being anything else.
Sure.
I just feel like it's the perfect. And I think Margaritaville, the brand team keeps saying, this is a big deal. This is a big deal. And it's like, yeah, it's a big deal to us too. But because they know it's the exact spot that it's like this could be the epitome of what Margaritaville is as a brand, the way it's carved into the community. So I want them to know that I'm approachable. I have a good sense of humor. I'm very excited to be here. I've got a lot going on, but I'm going to get out and introduce myself to people. I'm going to some meetings next week to introduce myself to people. And I am thrilled.
You think open day you'll pull a 24-hour shift?
Yeah. It's funny that I wanted to. I know that I'll have to rent, and I'm looking at maybe my next landlord. I think before the hotel opens, I'm going to have to get a place down here. Because usually 120 days before the hotel opens, you're working 16 hours.
Is it that far out? Like how that it's that far out that the demand
getting
is that
everything
high.
in the hotel and done is hopefully going to be a very smooth process, but it takes a lot of hard work.
Now, who gets to pick all the decorations, or is that already
Pre-planned.
Pre-planned.
Thank you.
The brand
Okay.
definitely, that
Kind
way
of dictates.
architecture and
determines.
design is made to make you feel a certain way when you walk into a space, right?
Yeah.
Some people
evoke
nail
that.
it.
Yeah.
Some people don't. Margaritaville has their signature things like the blown out flip flop in the lobby and things like that, but it definitely gives you a island feel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they call it a brand for a reason, right? It's
Yeah.
consistent
Absolutely.
all
There's
across.
There's a scent, there's music, there's lighting, and there's decor that make you feel that way when you get there.
So do you have an opening day planned? Is there an opening day? I know it's a year plus out, but is there an actual day?
I think September
Soft
5th
target?
is you have to
September
pick
5th?
a day, right? So
Yeah.
September 5th, which would be right after the holiday. It's a soft time of
Because
the
it's
year,
off season.
a little bit
Yeah.
off season, and allow us to get,
Mhm.
knock the cobwebs out. We have 5 restaurants to open. So the main thing is
If
we
you need
get,
any taste testers,
yes,
we're
I
available.
have a feeling you might be there, but opening up 5 restaurants at the same time, any restaurateur would say you're crazy.
Right.
You want to probably open up the
Hi.
ones at the main resort first.
Mhm.
Room service, a 3 meal a day restaurant, the license to chill terrace restaurant, like the basic stuff, right? So if you stay in a hotel, you've got a good selection. And then we'll try to open up JWB Grill, La Di Da Bar, 5 o'clock somewhere.
What-
Obviously, we better make sure the blenders are working.
Yeah. What do you think that first day is going to be like for this community? And what do you like? What's your vision of that opening day?
Oh, that just a proud moment.
Seamless execution.
Yeah, I didn't ask you the
have,
question. I
there's
asked him the
some people on
question.
our team,
dare you.
including myself, that have a lot of opening experience. So you have to. We did our first critical path call. Like now, it's game on with the brand. So everything's going to be tracked, very prescriptive on what needs to get done on time. So that's where my leadership skills will come out. I need to make sure everybody stays on point. If everything's done, it's going to be wonderful.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, you can't just open the doors and act like it's a regular day. I mean, it's got to be like it's got to be bands playing and
Pomp and
fist
circumstance.
flying.
There's going to be, so I picture an opening with a lot of fanfare,
Yeah.
live music, everybody just having a great time.
Marcino's
relaxing.
helicopter flying overhead and all kinds of
Maybe
crazy.
a
Fleets
surprise
of golf
visit?
carts driving down the street. Would
A
you say?
surprise visit from anybody?
He will not commit
No,
to that.
he shouldn't, and he shouldn't. That's not his deal.
No,
He'll
know,
show
I
up
know.
when he shows up, if he
Yes.
shows up, and he may
Jimmy
not.
would love you to be
Yeah.
at our grand opening.
We've been at concerts where he drives through the parking lot, and and just sticks his head out the window. It's like you just never know. And sometimes he'll just show up at places to warm up for the next day. I mean, that'd be kind of neat though. But you couldn't tell anybody anyway. It'd be crazy. It'd be
Right.
it wouldn't be a mob scene. So I mean, you
I'm
could tell a
very
few
hopeful.
people.
Hope is not a strategy, but it's
Right, right.
I'm very hopeful that he would show up.
Well, Dave, did we miss anything
Ah.
about the opening? I mean, obviously, we'd like to have you on a couple of times before, and we
Give us
look
some
forward
I'd love
to
to
updates.
give you some
Yeah.
updates as
we
things
love
progress.
we look forward to the bridge coming in soon. I mean,
The
that's
walkover,
in the
yeah.
next
the
couple
bridge
of
to
weeks.
paradise.
Yeah,
There you
yeah. And
What do
the
you think?
terrace.
I do, I like
you got a name for the terrace.
Sunset Terrace.
Yeah. Well, that was hard, right? I mean, come on, that was an easy
It's-
no-brainer. I mean, did you guys sit around a table and?
I threw it out there, and they were like, "That's a good name." But it's going to be when all the families are going to come out and take pictures at night.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
almost like
yeah.
you want to
Yeah.
ride that wave and maybe do something that's special for them while they're doing
It's
that.
so weird that you say that because I don't usually come out at night for whatever reason. But we were here last night
Because you're asleep. That's
doing
the reason.
doing the forum, and as I was loading up my vehicle, I looked over
Right?
at the pier, and it was
Yeah.
there were body to body just taking
It was a
pictures of this. I
beautiful
was
we
like,
take
wow.
a picture of my family. We
Yep.
take a picture of my
I
family.
need to
That's what-
take pictures of the people taking pictures. It was like that, but up there, it's going to be like crazy.
That's why the
because it's
West
perfect.
Coast is the best coast, because you at the
Yeah.
end of
Yeah.
every day you have a beautiful
Yeah.
sunset.
Yeah.
and you have that photo op, right,
Yep.
to remember your vacation and all the memories you created.
Well, David, thanks so much for coming on.
Yes,
we
Pleasure.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you
and
so much
good
for
luck
having
with
me.
everything. And
Yes,
thank
we
you.
look forward to seeing you again as this progresses.
Big hand for David, everybody.
Yay!
Our new general manager from the brand new Margarita coming up.
Ville.
Oh, he's got a gigantic.
Margaritaville.
You want to go say your goodbyes while I read the last ad before we bust out of here? Yeah, I got to read about, they just re-up for another 10 weeks, and we appreciate that very much. You know who I'm talking about, everybody, the Beach Pottery, because they have thousands and thousands and thousands of pots from Vietnam and from the Mexico. You're going to go to the Beach Pottery, and we're looking over here at this restaurant here, and they've got big giant pots like Beach Pottery has pots, because sometimes a small pot isn't enough. You need a gigantor pot, so you can put in these trees, these gigantic trees, or you get little pots, so you can put in little bushes or little plants or whatever you like to put in. Sometimes, I hit the wrong thing. Sometimes you never know what you want to put in a pot. Could be just a dirt pot. Could be, you like to put your dog in the pot to see if the dog can jump out of the pot. Throw lizards in the pot. We had grandkids over. Well, we're not grandkids, but we have, people from the family over that are little kids, and they throw lizards in the pot. Whatever. Lizards are fine, everybody. We don't really hurt the lizards. It's just a little game. I think the lizards like the game. But you know where to go. It's Beach Pottery. They have over an acre of 8,000, 10,000 pots. And you can put them for inside. You can put them for outside. And they also have a nice little setup where you can get key lime pie. You can get all kinds of different snacks. And you can get great coffee. And we love Alana. They have a big, like a mile's worth of, an acre's worth of pots out in the back. They're out in the front. They have a perfect location. It's on the way to the beach. Or you can call them and say, I'm on my way. Save me a red pot. Make sure all the red pots aren't sold. At 437-4211. That's 437-4211. They just re-upped for another 10 weeks, and we appreciate those guys. Along with The Whale, a brand new sponsor, The Whale. They're going to have their grand reopening on October the 1st. And we want to thank all you folks for sticking around with us today for the long show, and last night for the Candidates Night Forum that we had at right next door here at Margarita's. And we will be back next week with more fun and excitement. I know who the guests are, but I simply forgot. So we'll let you know during the week. Go to our news website and sign up for our Tuesday, Friday newsletter. It's beachtalkradionews.com. And we will see you next Saturday. Say it with me, everybody. Bye-bye.